You ever notice this? Every time people talk about Zinedine Zidane, it sounds like they're talking about a perfect player. Calm, elegant, untouchable. And yeah, if you only watch his highlights, it makes sense. The control, the movement, the way he plays, it looks beautiful. But here's the real question. Are we judging his career or just his best moments? Because Zidane had insane moments. No one denies that. World Cup 1998, Champions League 2002. Big games, big impact. But football isn't just about big moments. It's about every game, every week, every season. And that's where things get a little unclear. Was Zidane dominant all the time, or just unforgettable in certain moments? Because those two things are not the same. See, moments stay in your head. They make a player feel bigger than he actually was over time. And with Zidane, most people remember the moments, not the average games, not the quiet performances. And every player has those, even Zidane. But we don't really talk about that part. And maybe that's where the confusion starts. Not he's not great, because he is. But is he as perfect as people think? Okay, now let's go a little deeper, because this is where things start to get uncomfortable. When people call Zinedine Zidane one of the greatest ever, you'd expect the numbers to back it up, right? Goals, assists, season dominance. But when you actually look at it, it's not that crazy. He wasn't scoring 30 or 40 goals a season. He wasn't leading charts every year. He wasn't dominating statistically. And that's not hate. That's just reality. Now compare that to other legends. Players who controlled entire seasons, who carried teams week after week, who showed up all the time. And suddenly, Zidane feels different. Not worse, just different. Because his greatness doesn't come from numbers. It comes from moments. And moments can be misleading. They're powerful, yeah, but they don't show the full picture. Because football isn't played in highlights. It's played in the boring games, too. The matches where nothing special happens. The nights where even great players look normal. And Zidane had those nights. More than people remember. But we don't talk about that. Because it doesn't fit the story. It doesn't fit the image of perfection. And then there's consistency. This is where the debate really starts. Was Zidane great every season? Or was he great in phases? Because there's a difference. A big one. The greatest players ever, they don't disappear. They don't go quiet for long stretches. They don't rely on one or two moments to define them. They dominate. And with Zidane, sometimes it felt like you were waiting for that one moment, that one touch, that one flash of genius. And when it came, it was incredible. But when it didn't, it was just quiet. And that silence is something people forget, or maybe something they choose to ignore, because it's easier to remember the magic than to accept the gaps between it. And once you start noticing those gaps, the image changes. Just a little. Not enough to destroy his legacy, but enough to question it. And then there's another side, one that people really don't like bringing up. His temper. Zidane wasn't just calm and elegant. He could be explosive. Red cards, outbursts, and, of course, that moment in 2006, the World Cup final, the biggest stage in football, and he walks away with a headbutt. That's not just a mistake. That's how his career ended. And again, imagine if another player did that. Would we still talk about them the same way? Or would that moment define them forever? But with Zidane, it almost feels forgiven, or maybe rewritten, because the story is too beautiful to break. And that's the core of this whole thing. Zidane isn't just judged as a player. He's judged as a memory, a feeling. And feelings don't always match reality. So now the question gets sharper. Is Zidane overrated? Or have we just been remembering him differently? Because once you separate the moments from the full career, the answer might not be what people expect.